Okay, welcome folks. It's Friday, so that means that we have just watched The Mandalorian Chapter 16. It's myself and my co-host Kel Malone.
Hey,
Hi, Kel.
Cam. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, not too much. Excited to talk about what's happening here, and we're back for this week's edition of the Cantina. As always, we're going to be reviewing the episode in question, which it just so happens this week was the season 2 finale. And it would be fair to say there's a lot to unpack and talk about this, and we're also going to get into some sort of fan worries that have kind of kicked off, and you know, that some information that we've got from our source as well about where things are going. But we are, well, we'll get to that later, but we're going to kind of leave a lot of the speculation about where things go next, possibly until next week, but we'll pick that up at the end of this podcast. But we'll touch on it a little bit. So before we get into the actual specific spoilers, etc., obviously, if you've listened to this before, you know we're getting into the nitty-gritty of this, so full spoilers. If you have not seen the season 2 finale yet, which was called The Rescue, unsurprisingly, then I would suggest you watch it first and then come back and listen to the Cantina afterwards. For those of you that have seen it, you probably just want to know what we thought about it and see if we kind of thought the same things you did, etc, etc. So we're going to get into that. Before we start though, Kyle, as we always do, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, 1 to 5, the race.
Actually, for a lot of reasons we'll get into, I'm gonna this is my 4.5.
Okay, so I mean, we could maybe aggregate out a 4 then, because I'm probably about a 3 to 3.5 at the moment. So I kind of think this was maybe the weakest of the episodes in season 2, strangely, even though I didn't think it was bad. I'm not saying that, and certainly I've fucking cut above sort of episode 4 and episode 5 of season 1. We're not kind of down in those categories at the moment, but kind of almost a little bit disappointed by how it all played out. But you know, so far Kel's sitting at about a 4.5 out of 5, and I'm sitting at about a 3.5 out of 5. So I suppose in aggregate we're a 4 out of 5, which isn't too bad. So let's get right into the rescue, Kyle. So we begin the episode obviously straight on from last week, and it starts off in space with Fett tracking down a shuttle, an Imperial shuttle, and it just so happens that shuttle has got Dr. Pershing in it. Fett uses his ion cannon to kind of disable the shuttle, and they board, and the first person that kind of walks through the door is the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, with, you know, the rest in hot pursuit, Cara Dune, etc. We have a little kind of exchange between one of the Imperial officers, who kind of, I don't really know what his aim was at that point, you know, whether it was just to say, I'm going to fuck you guys up as much as possible, but really he just seemed to antagonise himself into getting shot in the face, quite frankly. So anything you want to particularly say about this kind of opening prologue, Kale?
So I was actually pleased to see the good old fashioned Imperial shuttle. I love, of course,
it was the classic kind of Return of the Jedi
Lambda
shuttle,
class,
the one that we're familiar with. Lambda class.
I appreciate when Star Wars, when Disney Star Wars will actually use toys that already existed and not worry about selling a brand new Who toy. So I love that. I loved seeing it. I love it getting shot by Fett's ion cannon, mentioning ion cannon. It's a bit of over exposition for us fans, but I don't think we've seen ion cannons in the Mandalorian, and I don't think the sequel trilogy made any usage of them.
Use of them at all.
It's a bit of exposition
which was kind of sad, because if they'd had those ion cannons at the Resistance base, Kyle, then that dreadnought, they wouldn't have had to send those stupid little bombers after them, would they? So if they cashed in all their ion cannons and instead upgraded to those bombers, well, I don't know who was doing the deals that day, but I don't know,
and not just that, but to split the difference and have some small ion cannons on some things that are like X-wings, but a little slower. And they can pack a punch. They can carry bombs, and it'll be great because they can disable stuff and bomb at the same time.
How dare you criticize The Last Jedi? It was a moment of sheer genius among the artistry that is moviedom. Our god Rian Johnson. Anyway,
I did. It was over.
Things got worse.
It was over exposition for fans, but they needed to say that because some people would be like, what the hell was that? I have no idea what the hell just happened. Oh, okay. That might,
we've only really seen
at least
them
the
in Empire
original
Back,
trilogy. It will at least help them out with that. Yeah. Nice shot from Cara Dune. That's all I can say. The music from the get-go in this episode was more dramatic. All of it, like legitimately from the time the little Star Wars Disney Plus logo, which does play in front of Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I like that they've got their version of the Marvel logo now. You know what I'm saying? For Disney Plus. And I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah. In the same way that it gives you excitement when you see that MCU kind of stinger thing come up, it now gives you excitement to see Star Wars coming up. Which, considering where we were sort of a year ago, I mean,
to be talking about excited to see something as small as that. But that's
can
one of those things,
we just say, right? Let's just, can there be some story because I saw somebody theorize this today and it's stupid, right? But at the same time, I kind of secretly want this to happen. That there's some sort of fucking alternate universe shit going on, and that the sequel trilogy was actually something that happened in an alternate universe somewhere. So we can carry on with what the sequel to the original trilogy was.
I'm telling you right now, watch everyone. One, if you haven't seen it, go watch Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Especially after watching this, go watch it. You need to. It will.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
You will almost wish it's canon because what you
Lego.
Want to happen, dude. just watch it. I'm telling you, it's right. Good. But
I do think that
sorry.
There is a chance for the sequel trilogy. There's almost people see that the Clone Wars and Rebels kind of redeemed the prequel trilogy, and I said this in a previous episode we recorded, and I would say, yes, they made it better, but when you watch the movies, they're still badly made movies. The sequel trilogies aren't badly made movies, are they? The dialogue, the acting, it's all right. So if they could if Filoni and Favreau could kind of work their magic in the way that the Clone Wars did, it is possible they might make the sequel trilogy seem as if it makes more sense because they'll have built up to it elsewhere.
Oh man, this is.
I mean, a lot of my criticisms about the sequel trilogy are that we don't know why any of this happened. It just happened, and it just there just wasn't enough fucking exposition or character development for the old guys or anything like that. And who knows
anyway, I'm writing this down. For those of you that don't know, Cam and I take notes for these types of podcasts and stuff like that, and end up
correction.
Huh?
Kyle keeps
Oh,
notes.
I keep.
Cam's only done notes for The Empire Strikes Back and The Last Jedi so far because you know it was a big battle against Jama.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
keep meticulous
I'm not as organised
notes.
as you. I wing things a lot more, you know.
But that making the sequel trilogy better, that might be our very very first discussion, our very first post Mandalorian season 2 episode of the Cantina as it continues on. I think that's a good discussion coming right off of
we can
this.
definitely cover that one week.
Yep.
You know, because we're not always going to get new news every week, so you know we need topics to cover because we want to still talk to you guys about Star Wars every week. It's the plan because we like talking about it.
Other than that, anyway. Before there's something I noticed when they do eventually land. So whenever
once they get onto the planet where Bo-Katan etc. Okay, yep.
You want me to go ahead and say it?
Well, you know, in terms of the actual scene and what happens, just to kind of play it out. So obviously they land and they go into a bar. They find Bo-Katan. She's there with I've forgotten her name, Cosca Reeves, and Boba and Mando, or as Kyle likes to call them, Bobs.
Bobs.
Bobs
up,
and
Bobs?
Mando. Are then going to kind of try and recruit them for some help, and we have a bit of back and forth, especially between Fett and Cosca Reeves, but you know, a little bit of needle with Bo-Katan herself, you know, about the whole Boba Fett's reputation, that he's not a real Mandalorian. We get a few obviously comments about clones and things like that, which I'm sure you might want to kind of pay some mention to, and we have a little scuffle as well, and there is just one thing I wanted to pick up with this because I don't like it. It's kind of almost feels like immediate sexism to me, right? Is that I've seen some fans online since, you know, because I like to, you know, go on and discuss with fans what's happening anonymously, just, you know, on various different fan forums after the episodes, because that's where you get the real kind of meat. That's what you find out what people think. Anyway. And I'd saw somebody say, you know, one thing I didn't like was that Boba should have really kicked Cosca's ass. He should have been much more of a badass than her. And I don't think there's any evidence, Kel, to back that up. Because Boba's out of shape, he's not had his armour for years, and as we saw in Cosca Reeves' episode, she's a bit of a badass herself. You know, we're talking about the same woman who jumped under the sea, kicked fuck out a monster and brought the child back safely, and then, you know what I mean, was pretty kick-ass throughout the rest of that episode as well, you know, a proper Mandalorian warrior. I don't think that is a, you know, Boba Fett should have won situation. No. I think it's a, well, who knows who would win it by these two if it went lethal, but it was kind of a draw and just, you know, a bit of fun. But you know, I just wanted to bring that up because I know I've heard some fans talking about it and it just doesn't make sense to me, and I kind of wonder whether it's, well, if that was a guy and he was this kick-ass Mandalorian, whether people would say the same thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, after that bit of sort of back and forth, you know, basically Din dangles the carrot that he's looking for. I'm just going to shut my door because I can hear an ice cream van coming round at the moment, and you don't want to hear that on the recording, guys. So he kind of dangles the carrot of basically Gideon and the Darksaber in front of her, and that's what gets sort of Bo-Katan interested. So they kind of come up with a deal, and at this point Din's pretty much ready to agree to anything. She'll help them if sort of Mando will consider, after all this is over, helping her and kind of joining her cause. And I think that's a kind of key line potentially for what happens going forward, so it was worth mentioning. At this point didn't will agree to anything, so you know they set it up. Yep, they're going to help them, and they go off and start the kind of planning side of things. So just on that, what do you want to say on the whole kind of recruitment of Bo-Katan and Cosca Reeves scene? Okay.
While you were talking, I was listening and trying to multitask, and I am looking at the landing of Slave One outside of where they stop off at. There's I don't know if it's familiar or not, but there's something
right. I know
there's
where
something weird on the left,
right?
but there's this thing in the dead fucking center that Kylo Ren used in was it Last Jedi?
Yeah, the
shuttle, right?
I don't think it was. It didn't look as if it looks like what would you call it? It was the one he used in the Last Jedi. It's like the TIE silencer. It was like long at the front, and the wings come up at the sides. But it wasn't. It was a different design, but the same design at the same time. Does that make sense?
Right.
You know, it looked like it, but it wasn't that ship.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as close as I can. I zoomed in a little bit. This doesn't look like it rises and falls like that shuttle did. With the wings where it came down the wings like an elevator, but that definitely he is a shout out to I think that, but I think it might also be a shout out to Maul's ship, the interceptor, the middle of it, the body, if that was all done like Maul's ship, I think, yeah, maybe.
Maul's ship's kind of similar to Kylo Ren's ship in a way.
So there you go. Look at that.
I mean, it almost feels like an evolution of it.
All three things connected right there on this little fucking. We just spent 3 minutes talking about a ship in the background and how cool. How much it connects to shit. That's fucking awesome. That's what I wanted to mention. That reminded me of Kylo's ship so much, and then
that kind of attention to detail
and so much more.
Did you? Let me ask you this, because this is where I thought you were going to go with it. As the slave one's flying in, that industrial kind of place behind you, did it remind you of anything else?
Let me see.
Star Wars?
Let me go back because I've got it. Hold on. Here's
I had to think about this for a minute, and then rule out what I was thinking. But I just
do they
thought
ever name this planet?
No, they don't. But what I think we can be sure of is that it's not Coruscant. Is it? It's not Coruscant.
No.
But it looks kind of like the place that Darth Tyrannus goes at the end of Attack of the Clones to meet Poppy. When he's like, "You have done your Lord Tyrannus."
Yeah, that's true.
The war has begun, my lord. It looks like that, but it's not, because that was Coruscant. But it just, do you know what I mean? It gave me that double take though when they were flying in, and then of course there's multiple. It's not just one. There's like multiple, and they're smaller. But it just, I don't know, it just stuck in my head. I was wondering if it did as well.
In the old EU, there were some green areas on Coruscant and stuff like that, but
yeah, this was in the Attack of the Clones. It was an industrial part of Coruscant, and I think it's pretty clear they're not on Coruscant.
Absolutely not. But I'm trying to see if I couldn't get a shot of that other ship that I think might be familiar. But anyways. That's pretty cool. Look, what'd
you think of the fight and all that between?
I'm getting
Koska and Boba
right there. First, let me say that Bo coming back. I was one of the ones that I said she was one of the ones that I really thought he would try to collect to come back. I agree with you. All the possible who could come back. I actually thought the three of them though. I thought Axe Wolves would be there as well, which he wasn't. But I kind of wasn't surprised to see Bo-Katan get back involved. Exactly. So good on you and I. Calling that.
Although we did get some stuff wrong this week, but we'll get to that.
That was obvious move. The fight was awesome. I liked the fight. It made sense. Is it Graves?
Koska Reeves. Kicking kit, as I would say to my daughter. Koska Reeves.
Got it.
as in Christopher Reeves.
Got
you know,
it.
just common
Reeves,
name.
Sasha Banks, badass. From the very moment we meet her, like you said, she's hanging out with Bo-Katan, a legit Mandalorian warrior, a legit Clone Wars era Mandalorian warrior. You know, this is this is not
ain't some chick with a fancy suit.
This isn't like Company at all, and I didn't take them lightly.
Unless you think somebody like Sabine Wren's just, you know, get no skills, because you know, Rebels proved that's not the case. She was a very competent Mandalorian warrior.
Right. And Boba Fett is older. Yes, he is more out of shape, and his armor and kit is less up to date and par.
And he hasn't used any really in years.
Like
either.
He repainted it. I'm sure that he's made some touch ups since he's gotten it back to where it's a little up to date.
Yeah,
but
from
it's
some
not
spare
like
parts and shit that he had in the slave one.
And Reeves at all. It's not. So no, people thinking that this is when Disney pulls that female look at us, yay, girl power card out in the wrong.
I don't like it when it's
the wrong way.
When it's too, I didn't like the girl power scene in Avengers Endgame. I'll
call it out 100%.
Could have been done more naturally. I was as well. This was not that. This was not that.
Legit,
this
good
was a
storytelling.
tense moment that we knew was never going to get lethal. It
Yes.
was obvious that it was never going to get that.
It was
far. It was
a test.
just like two macho dudes just squaring each other up, basically. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely fine, considering the kind of people they are.
Look, they're here. They're obviously going to be wanting something. We're going to want something in return. It's a test of strength, essentially. In at least Den and Bo's mind, and both of them were there to make sure that neither Boba, neither the Bobes killed Reeves, and Reeves doesn't kill the Bobes. So, but it was a great fight, well choreographed and fun to watch.
Yeah. So, you know, after they kind of make up and say, okay, we'll help each other. Next up is planning. This is how we're going to get
and I've got some good stuff to say about some of this stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, essentially they just make a plan for how they're going to get on board the ship. And Dr. Pershing just decides to offer some quite handy information. He tells them about the Dark Troopers, he shows them where the cell is. So, you know, they're going in prepared, and they know that they have a plan to kind of deal with the Dark Troopers theoretically quickly, so that they don't become too much of a threat. Bo-Katan kind of takes the lead in terms of planning, but the first thing that she says is, okay, we're going to split into two teams, and Mando makes it clear he's going for the kid alone. That's a lone mission, and everybody else is going elsewhere. So they come up with a plan, and they say, right, okay, it's basically time to go execute this now. Kyle, what do you want to say about this scene? That's you know, obviously there's something that you want to praise or something.
Well, it's not just this, but it's also the execution. So if you want to carry through,
move on.
Let me see.
Because the next bit after that's getting to the hyperspace.
Carry on. Damn.
I'll carry on. Jump in when you want to jump in. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the next part we get to is obviously, as you said, Kyle, executing the plan. So they start off in hyperspace. They're in basically the same hyperspace lane. Slave 1 is tracking the Lambda shuttle. It's pretty obvious how this is going to work. They're going to jump out of hyperspace, make it look as if the Slave 1 is trying to shoot the Lambda class shuttle. They're going to pretend to be Imperials needing rescue and hoping that the ship will allow them to dock, so that they can get on board. All goes according to plan. I thought there was a little bit of nice back and forth between Bobs and Bobs and Bo on this one. When she's like, make it look convincing.
Don't worry about it,
you turn your shields up, princess, and I'll give you a show. And all that sort of stuff. And then it was a kind of like, she's like, watch those deck cannons. Like, I'll be fine. You worry about yourself. Do you know what I mean? Which again shows me a different side to Boba Fett's character for that one-dimensional. I'm here to be a villain, which is basically all we ever saw of him in the original trilogy. The plan doesn't go quite according to plan because I think, based on his facial reactions, and Esposito's a good actor, he's making it look as if he's a bit sus about this right from the start. So instead of just accepting them on board, he sends out TIE fighters instead. But, considering what their plan is, they're basically going to have to try and ignore those TIE fighters and just smash on through and get through that docking bay. Meanwhile, the TIE fighters go after Slave One, who really doesn't, it's just like swatting flies. He basically ignores them as much as he can until they've managed to get through the docking bay, and then he just turns around and casually picks them off with a couple of lasers behind them. And jumps
Here's
out.
A good spot for me to come in. And some of this I'm going to say, remember, I'm saying it from the point of view of having only seen the episode to this point. The infiltration planning, of course, you're not going to spend too much time. Nobody wants to see a real tactical planning. You want your exposition with the dark troopers and stuff like that. You want for story purposes. You want your audience to understand where it is that they're going. Okay, we're going to see two teams, and we're going to see some meet up in the middle. You're doing some setup when you go over infiltration plans in a movie versus in real life. However, these tactics are great. It's a great false flag tactic which Gideon sees through, but it's a very, very convincing false flag effort. I think they could have done better using male voices over the comms, because they could have pretended to be Pershing's shuttle, but for story reasons, whatever. Still, the false flag tactics are great. Getting in there and jamming that tube was the goal of the shuttle. It went 100% according to plan. It was just unfortunate that a couple of TIEs managed to get out before they did, because even in the plan, their goal was to jam the tube and keep from launching TIEs. There's great distraction with the way that they come in, so that way, even if their cover isn't blown, they've still got the element of surprise. This is like a back plan within a back plan. It's brilliant. You've got all of this smoke, noise, sparks. It's going to be confusion for the stormtroopers. And then, boom, some good old-fashioned 2003 George W. shock and awe goes down, and we get to see some really, really cool stuff. That at that moment, I wrote down Fennec and Hera and Bo and Burr / Mayfield equals Rangers ? That, of course, is going to change up some, but I did at that but at that moment,
I
did you think similar?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we theorised that's who we thought it was last week. So before this even went down, that's where we thought things were
we
going.
knew Burr. Did we say?
And based
Did
on
we
what
say
we've
Fennec
heard as well,
last week as well? Oh, if we did, then great. But I knew we talked about Burr. But
we talked about Fennec, and I didn't think Fennec because I thought Fennec might die. I had the feeling Fennec wouldn't be, but the other ones would. But at the same time, I could see it because I saw a lot of fans shipping her onto that show, if you like.
But anyways, Ming Na.
But yeah, I actually should die.
So now we're going to talk about the fight to Grogu and the bridge. Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
We've kind of gone two fights at the same time. I mean, I don't think there's much I can say about the main fight, which is all of them rushing through it, because it's an action set piece. You know, I'm not going to describe that to anyone if you didn't watch it. What you're even doing here in the first place, so you know what we're talking about.
Right. We're going to kind of dance around all of the fighting to except for the main event, which we do understand that we're Tarantinoing it a bit. Go ahead.
And you know, at the same time though, Din's doing his sneaky manoeuvre up to the cells. He also has to deal with the Dark Troopers as well. It's kind of his job to deal with the Dark Troopers. And we just get a little glimpse of, you know, what it would be like to fight a Dark Trooper, because Mando actually fights one of them and the rest are all kind of trapped in. He needs to get rid of them, basically blow them out to space, Alien style, that old movie Aliens. And you know, the Dark Troopers are pretty tough, it would be fair to say. You know, he struggles with that, and only, you know, kind of jamming his Beskar spear under its neck and prizing its head off seems to do the trick. He blasts them all off to space. Meanwhile, you know, the rest of our heroes are advancing towards the bridge and taking people out like crazy. And I did like the way it was all shot, the way as you say, the tactics, they just push through and just keep shooting, you know, and you know, they're just advancing so fast. It's you know, it's difficult for anybody to kind of deal with them. And you know, there was a couple of nice scenes with, you know, Cara Dune, you know, not getting her blasted. What the only thing I kind of had a little bit of a issue with was her using her weapon to just bash somebody over the head again. I mean, they just seem to have that in almost every episode of Mandalorian. Somebody's gun doesn't work and they hit someone with it, you know. It almost felt like one too far for me this week with Cara, but you know, her just using that big heavy repeater machine gun was pretty cool. I thought, you know, I think out of them all, you know, if we're talking about a series, your main players would be the Bill Burr character and Bo-Katan, because they're the actors. You know, they're the people that can act and do the drama. But your Cara Dunes and, you know, whoever else they kind of link up with, they're there for the action, aren't they, at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And you know, I'm sure, you know, Gina Carano will improve as she goes along and gets more experience with the acting as well. And so will Sasha Banks. If do you think Sasha Banks will be in Roses?
I don't know if
I
she'll
don't see why not. At this point, not
Bo,
maybe as a major player.
Yeah, she might not be a major player, but I have no issue with her continuing on. No.
Yeah.
It's a new character for the most part. Most new characters I'm going to be okay with.
Yeah. So the guys make it to the bridge, which is their goal, but of course Gideon isn't there. And just at the same time as that, Din gets into the cell after he's dealt with the Dark Troopers, and Gideon's there holding the Dark Blade over little Grogu, sitting with his cuffs on and stuff like that. Okay. So we get to the kind of meat of things really at that point. Is there anything you want to say before we get into go for it.
Din's job during the planning for infiltration was the extraction part. You go get the child. Go get Grogu. Yeah. On the way, during the plan, they find out, and this is again an excellent use of hey, these are our assets. These are our paths. These are our needs, and it's great. And I know some people say it's ex machina, but it's a science fiction show. You don't fucking know how these ships are designed. It's not legitimately ex machina. It's good use of assets. I as a military guy like it.
Every show has it.
Yeah,
every show has it. It's how you do it.
But anyways,
how you do it.
I like that they're like, hey Mando, go take this code cylinder. It'll lock the door for the dark troopers. So that shock and awe that I was talking about allows the big distraction that then gets to go off and do that. The fight with the dark trooper that does get out, because one gets its hands in the door before it can close, and shows how strong it is by thrusting the doors open and taking shots from Den's blaster with no problem, and punching Mando in the face, and the doors do slam shut. The rest of the dark troopers are locked in, but they show their strength as they start trying to bust out of the door. This shows something I wrote down. The dark troopers, we learned these are the third versions from Dr. Pershing, who I think might be a bigger villain than we know. He has made it.
I think.
What's that?
Would you say villain is a strong term?
No. Well, yeah, okay. Dr. Pershing is in it for the science and himself.
Maybe.
What's that?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a bigger player going forward.
There's the word.
I don't know if I would say.
But villain. do you agree with that? That he is in it for the science, for himself.
He's also our window into what's going on at the other side, which we don't really have much information on.
And we'll touch on a word, a phrase that's used later. Yeah. But I had to write that down. The Pershing thing. With the music is scary. There's some moments where I almost hear music from the Imperial side of someone's soundtrack. I don't know if it's OT, PT. I don't know, but there were some beats and some notes.
I've usually got a good ear for stuff like that.
I gotta go back.
I probably didn't have it turned up that loud.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping
I'll go back and watch it again with the volume up a little bit.
And find out, because it, like I said, I'm not sure, but it's more beats, not notes this time, and I can't place if it's the clone army or if it's stormtroopers. Like, I can't place where it's at.
I'll have a listen.
But anyways, the music is great. It's a scary fight scene, wonderfully choreographed. The Beskar heating up is awesome. What the hell are the dark troopers made out of?
Well, it's not Beskar.
No,
we can completely rule that out. But considering, I mean, it's the difference between, let's say I give you as a trooper titanium plating, but I build a robot soldier out of complete titanium. It's going to take me a lot less firepower to put you down than it is the robot, because
that's true.
You've nowhere to go. It's thicker. It's built to that. So
you're absolutely
I think
right.
That's where it.
You're talking Beskar on the Mandalorian is millimeters in thickness, while the plating on the droids, and it doesn't have to be Beskar. The plating on the droids what Durasteel is the stuff a lot of shit is made out of in Star Wars. The plating could be later on.
And I mean, really, you look at that as like a super battle droid for the PT. Didn't just you had to use some serious military.
Yeah, you're right. And there's
but Jedi.
There's another. Story. That good job. My my brain isn't always working as great. Anyways, the fact that they have them in that room, I said at first that an airlock wouldn't make any sense there, and then I wrote down, oh wait, had to cross something out, and I said is smart in case enemies try to go after dark troopers, like as a fail-safe, like you can lock the dark troopers in place and eject the enemy out of that room. And then I said it's also a fail-safe if the dark trooper AI ever turned against them, because then they could jettison them.
Yeah, but there's also a more practical reason, just the fact that they might want to launch them,
unload
without having to land anyway.
But last time they looked like they came out of the sides and tubes or something. They looked like they came out of weird launch bays last time.
Well,
I got to go back and look.
I'll need to watch
maybe.
that again. I think it's not so much where they come out of, but go back in. Yes, they
maybe
went back in a different place, but maybe that's because they had. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
There was only a few of them.
Anyway,
but it looks as if you could basically open up that back door and they could all just buzz out.
And he does that.
Our heroes don't know.
Yeah.
Though if they'd thought about it, considering if they had thought about how the kid was taken in the first place, they could have reasoned that out. But,
yeah, I see. Anyway, our dark troopers go out into space, and we think, cool, they're good to go. And Den goes about his business. The team pushing for the bridge. They use their surprise to their advantage while they can. They clear their corners, Hollywoody, but mostly okay. But they do something. They mention how easy it is that they're having it, and say almost too easy, which is such a cheesy line. But I loved it because as soon as she said it, I was like, I looked at my wife. Reminds me of the time it was a little too Raph, and that didn't go so well either, which was me making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze joke reference with my wife, with a reference from fucking Star Wars, because the Mandalorian is fucking awesome.
You're getting your nerddoms confused.
What's that?
You're getting your nerddoms confused.
No. I was having, it was so much fun watching this is what I'm saying. And that cheesy line, almost too quiet, used throughout Westerns, used
and will be forevermore.
Old effect, and then in geekdom, many people can remember the Turtles going to rescue Raph in Turtles 2. It's real quiet, almost too quiet.
Nobody watched Turtles 2 except you.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, there's Raph. They see him take his gag out. He's mouthing off, and they're like, oh, it's a little too Raph. And then they put the tape back on, and the trap is sprung. It's great. It's wonderful. I love it. It's a cheesy fucking line, but it's awesome. They go to the bridge, but the only thing I have negative to say here is Bo should have known the second that blaster fire was heard, seen, reported, anything, that Gideon would have went to Grogu and would not have been on the bridge. That was actually poor story writing, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, she doesn't necessarily know how important he is. She might think staying by the safety, if you like, of the I mean, how many? I don't know. I've seen a million things where somebody storms a spaceship and the lead bad guy is always in the control room. Do you know what I mean? So
because
I'm not a military strategist, but
she knows how important the kid is to the Mandalorian. And
but she doesn't necessarily know how important he is to Gideon.
If Gideon has him, she has to think that he's going to expect the Mandalorian to come, and therefore any trouble on the ship would see him with the dark saber to go protect his ace in the hole. No matter what, he's got the power. So that's why. But when I say bad storytelling, I shouldn't say bad stories. It was necessary storytelling. I'll say that.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, you might just be a wee bit harsh with that, a wee bit like overly critical of that one kill. It just didn't bother me at all. Do you know what I mean? That kind of side of things. I think in the kind of heat of the moment, you know, there's a clear plan in place of where this is going, and there was a reason why they had to have him where he was so that they could face off with each other and everything like that. I think it actually kind of makes sense that you would expect the bad guy to be in the control room, because, as I said earlier on, that's where it's almost that like crazy, Stargate, Star Trek, they'd always be in the control room. You'd always fight your way to the control room, and that's where the bad guy would be. So,
like I said, maybe then we'll just call it necessary storytelling then.
Yeah, necessarily for the way the plot's gonna go. Okay, so Gideon versus Din. Let's talk about that. So Gideon basically talks to Mando a little bit, and I think he sows a few seeds here about, I don't know, I'm guessing this is like his out plan at some point to try and kind of divide a division between them, because I think for where things go, he's almost sowing the seeds for that before he's even attacked Mando. But he does say that he's finished with the Grogu, and that Mando can just take him and go, and Mando's like, yeah, okay, I'm happy with that, let's go for that. Mando goes to get Grogu, and Gideon attacks him with the Darksaber. As we've already saw in the Jedi episode with Ahsoka, the Beskar armour can stand up to lightsaber blasts or lightsaber strikes.
Yep.
Maybe not forever, but certainly for a bit. And Din has to defend himself. He's just using his Beskar armour in the same way he did against Ahsoka. But then, as you and I said was going to happen, I don't want to take any credit for this, because I think everybody in the world probably thought this was going to happen, but we're going to get a duel between Mando with the Beskar spear and Gideon with the Darksaber.
And some people also thought we might see he Bo with the Beskar spear end up being the one fighting Gideon. Theories early in the season. Not us.
I don't know. Right, I get you. I never saw that one myself. But anyway, we get the kind of duel that we were expecting between the two, and I don't think it's too much of a surprise that Mando wins that, disables Gideon, and grabs the Darksaber, and that's when sort of Gideon says to him basically, there's almost like a smile on his face of what's coming next.
Yeah.
Mando then sort of marches Gideon up to the control room, and with Darksaber ignited behind him in a threatening way. And I'll get into this bit in just a little second. Just want to ask you before we go too far, so we're not going back too far. Is there anything you want to say about the actual combat between Gideon and Mando?
Look, guys, he's freaking brilliant. I love him. I do. Gideon, the character, is he's Thrawn-ish, he's Tarkin-ish, he's Isard-ish, which I found out something interesting. James Luceno, I hope I'm saying his name right, author of the book Tarkin, which an interesting book because it came out right as the EU is wiped off the face of the earth, and the Aftermath books haven't hit yet, right? This Tarkin book from one of the old EU writers is written, and he brings over Armand Isard, who is the head of the Imperial's version of the CIA. Why does that matter? Isard's the daughter, Yasani, I think is how Mike Stackpole said he says her name. I used to say Yasain or something like that. I don't remember, but Isard is their last name. She's a major villain in the Rogue Squadron books, and we're getting a Rogue Squadron movie, and there's that EU character that exists. It's crazy. But anyways, the blood thing with the with what Gideon is telling Mando, we still don't know what we're getting at. We know it's not about the dark troopers because they're droids. We don't know what Gideon is. It's what comes next, but is it Snoke? Is it Palpatine? Is it
Well,
what is it?
We'll get
You
to all
know.
that next week. We'll get to all that next week.
So the Beskar versus Darksaber thing is great, awesome. I told my wife that he was a liar from the get-go, and I think he tries to go for a slot in the armor where there is none, but Mando's just Mando and able to block. The Gideon setup is just, it's brilliant. I love it. Carry on. I'm good. I got in my EU-ness, right. and I'm gonna get it in one more time, and this is why the planning, the military stuff I've been happy with. The EU-ness that I'm seeing, and something else I'll put out is my 4.5. So
okay. So the bridge scene is essentially Gideon talking about the Darksaber, the fact that Mando picked it up, Bo-Katan. You can tell by her face that everything that Gideon is saying is 100% true.
Yep.
And we know a lot of that from the canon and fans that have watched, Clone Wars and Rebels, knowing that
I'm just
that history with the
learning
Darksaber anyway. You're just kind of learning it all anyway. But it's a kind of code thing, It's like, you can't just be given something, it's almost like you have to take it, and that's there. That's left hanging very much at the moment. We still don't know how that is going to be resolved, but we assume that will be a focus for things going forward. Our colleague Mike thinks that because our sources likened this whole setup, this Mandoverse as it was told to us, and likened it to sort of Game of Thrones, Mike kind of come up with the idea or the kind of thought that, the Darksaber itself would be like almost like the Iron Throne, that everything would end up revolving around this Darksaber. And considering where this ended and how that kind of is going to seed into the shows going forward, I find it hard to argue against him on that one. I don't think the evidence is plain in your face. I think it's a good theory, and certainly, it's one I could see panning out. Would you agree?
Yeah. This was a brilliant plan, and Esposito, man, he's just freaking.
He's awesome.
It's almost
we knew
it's
he
almost
was awesome
unfair
before
that
he was even
we
in
got
the
him so much in The Boys, and we got hit so much, not enough, but we did get so much of him in season two. This is
I mean, we basically just have to be thankful that Luke's working
it's
at the moment
awesome.
And he's not getting fed up.
He's his acting, his facial. I'm always a big guy that on actors with great face acting.
It's the eyes. It's what they do with the eyes.
Part of it, and it's also knowing enough of a smile. There is, you ever want to see a perfect example? I always go to this, the Avengers movie, when Loki has the guy on the table that he's going to take the eye from, right? And he's seeing the panic and everything around him, the god of mischief, and he takes a breath. Legitimately, Tom Hiddleston, there's another time he does it in the MCU, but he takes a breath of pure enjoyment, and the slightest change in his eyes and smile, and Esposito does the same shit, but in a I different way.
Great actors.
It's awesome.
Different. I totally I get where you're going with that.
I love
Esposito is just like Hiddleston is watchable. I don't know why Hiddleston's not been in more stuff.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I honestly don't. I know he's had a great time playing Loki. He's getting to star in his own show. I think he's one of the best actors out there at the moment.
Yeah.
And while he's in this age range, he should be getting more lead roles.
Yeah.
He would be my choice for the next James Bond.
I had, it is what it is. And I'll give it to Katie Sackhoff. She's a little bit more rigid, but she's also really trying to pull off from the time Mando walks in with the darksaber in hand. She's trying to show both. She's trying to pull off a fear of what will Mando's reaction be, at the same time as it doesn't fucking matter. I will kill him and get that dark saber. And it's a little more stiff, but I'm excited to see Katie Sackhoff and Bo-Katan more down the road.
Yeah, I don't think Bo-Katan ends up with the dark saber. I think that's a potential dark path for the future, but no.
He says Gideon sets it up. Like I said, she doesn't know what Mando's going to do at that moment. Does he learn that he's now king or whatever, and then her almost try to look disgusted at when he turned it off and tried to hand it to her multiple times. I yield. Take it. I don't want it. The reluctant Mandalore of old EU saying. The reluctant Mandalorian king. It's I'm loving it, dude. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah. So all of these questions that we have were kind of cut short by the fact that the Dark Troopers turned back up again. Because as anybody who'd been following the previous episodes, or 2 episodes ago I should say, should know, these Dark Troopers have got their own sort of engines built into their feet, like Iron Man style, and they can fly through space. So of course that's not going to be the end of them. So they're back and they're coming to the bridge, and they're coming, and Gideon basically says, "That's it, you're fucked."
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because they're going to come in here and they're going to kill every one of you except me.
Yep.
Ha ha ha. And the kid, because I'll tell them not to.
Yeah.
And our heroes are, shit, how are we going to get out of that situation? And then an X-Wing fighter shows up, and they say, "Hey, there's an X-Wing fighter. What, just one of them? What good's that going to be?" And from this point on, I knew what was happening, and I think you loved it, and I think most of the fans out there loved it. I liked what I saw. I didn't like where they put it in and how they did it. If that makes sense. I thought this was a kind of cheap way to just do away with the drama, but Luke fucking Skywalker turns up, and R2D2, by the way, comes in, and we basically have almost like a reverse Vader and Rogue One scene. That's how the fans are comparing it, and it is, and it's very well done. I would say not quite as well done as it was in the movie. I was showing my son the scene because he was like, I was like, you need to watch Mando, and he's like, just tell me, does Luke Skywalker show up? I don't know where they'd get that from, by the way, but I was like, well, just watch this bit, and it was Luke, and he actually noticed that unlike Rogue One, some of the droids are kind of like, there's loads of opportunities they have in certain movements where they could shoot them, but they seem to be like aiming away and stuff like that, and they only seem to aim towards him when he brings the lightsaber around in a way that would stop it. So I would say between the two scenes, Vader in Rogue One was just a little bit better shot. It was just tighter, nicer, do you know what I mean, all that sort of stuff, but it was still a very, very good scene. And basically Luke Skywalker then kicks ass with every Dark Trooper on the way to the bridge, while everybody else just kind of watches them on the monitors, and little Grogu starts going up and pawing at the screen, and oh look, lightsaber, I recognise you, and all this builds up to the moment when the elevator door opens, and it is, of course, as we should have known by that point, for the metal hand, the green lightsaber, the X-Wing, that this was Luke Skywalker, and he'd come. Yeah, I know, but even that might not be enough detail for some people. Yeah, but when he turned up, it was Luke Skywalker, and they used, obviously, I don't know what actor they used, but clearly a sort of stunt actor, and they de-aged sort of Mark Hamill's face, using the de-aging tech to make Skywalker look as if he was there. And he comes to collect little Grogu, and basically he does so. Grogu checks with Mando whether it's okay for him to go, and I think the nicest part of this whole sequence was the fact, because we talked about this last week, was why he's almost getting at the end, so that sort of Grogu can see his face and says his goodbyes, and I think we needed that as well in that moment, because Pascal's a good actor, and we see the drama in his eyes, and we see his acting, you know what I mean, as Grogu goes away with Luke Skywalker to kind of begin his Jedi training, one would assume, and it's, although it's that, yes, he knows he's not the best person to look after him. Yeah. He knows this person is a better person to look after him, but he's still just sad because it's like losing his son. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's sad for him.
Very, very sad. Very, very, yeah.
Yeah, there was fans saying that they were kind of tearing up. At that point, I thought it was all telegraphed a little bit too much. It didn't totally take me into the drama of it all. That maybe if it was more of a surprise, that would have done something different for me, I think. But I get it with some fans, and of course the episode ends there. Did end of, well, until we get to the after credit sequence, which we'll come on to in a minute. So I've kind of said what I think, that ultimately what I'm saying, Kyle, is that the actual scenes I thought were cool. I enjoyed. I have no issues. Like, they should never bring Luke Skywalker back. Actually, I'm not saying that. That's not me. I'm just saying that in the context of this particular episode, to throw Luke Skywalker in there and have him save the day felt kind of anticlimactic to me. Like, the drama had disappeared, the tension had disappeared, because once I knew who it was that showed up, there really only was one conclusion for how things were going to go for the rest of the episode after that. Does that make sense to you at all?
So let me see if I can read Cam's mind a bit about what he was thinking would be a potential use in the future, that because we thought Grogu would not be rescued at the end of this. We didn't know.
No, we got that wrong.
Right?
We thought it might end in a more downbeat ending.
We thought it would end on a very downbeat. It ends on a up but bittersweet beat. Man, you thought that Luke could have been used later, potentially in that future altogether thing.
Yes, I've got no issue with that, but I think if you're going to bring Luke back, don't just do it as like a cameo scene. Maybe build to like doing something with a recast Luke would be fat. I mean, see if that was, I know people keep saying Sebastian Stan. See if that was Sebastian Stan there instead of Luke, then I'd be like, oh, we're getting young Luke Skywalker here. You know, you don't cast somebody like that unless you're going forward. The fact that they've done it de-aging instead tells me that they either don't have any firm plans or immediate plans to go any further with Luke Skywalker, or else why not recast? But after everything that happened in the sequel trilogy, wouldn't you like to see something with Luke Skywalker and his life training Jedi in between this and the, you know?
Not now.
No?
Not with the
not
ST
because of
sitting
where
there
it went.
the way it is.
But what if they then were able to show us how everything went to shit for Luke?
I mean, yeah, but there's still so many issues in the sequel trilogy that I'll never watch. There are still some gaps that you cannot fix. Like you can show Luke getting grumpy, but then explain the one fucking 80 from the Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker and shit. Like, no, you can't save the sequel trilogy, and I don't want more Luke.
Okay.
You do?
If he was recast, I would be willing to see it, because I think we were denied seeing that character.
I think so too.
I would accept that we could, more than Han Solo, who we got to see more of in recast, I would rather see the continuing adventures of Luke Skywalker, and an actor that's willing to go into the role for a few years, get older with it, you know what I mean? And you know, Mark Hamill's already said, look, I can't do it, so, you know, I give my blessing. If they ever want to recast Luke Skywalker, you have my blessing to go do it. If they ever want to use my likeness, he said, which they've done here, he said, you can use my likeness for Luke Skywalker, where, you know, as basically till his dying day, he said they can use him as much as they want. Here's a question for you: who did the voice? That wasn't Hamill, was it? It didn't sound like Hamill. Was it Hamill?
It's Mark Hamill.
He is a good voice actor. He is a good voice actor. I have to remember that, because it sounded like Luke,
young.
but it didn't sound old Luke. Do you know what I mean?
Sounded young.
It sounded young.
They may have done some digital something, because, and I'm always looking at the mouth.
Like maybe
where
there's maybe like some technique where you put it up an octave or something and it sounds younger. I don't know. Yeah, I get what you mean though.
It's Hamill credited at the end with Mark Hamill.
I didn't get time to read the credits because I was trying to get to because I'd heard there was a after credit sequence.
Were you spoiled about Luke before?
No. Why would you ask such things?
Just curious.
No, there would be no reason to. No, there was no leaks or anything like that.
They did a really good job at keeping this a secret, because I sure as hell wasn't spoiled.
We've heard that, shall we say, that even the actors that are in the scenes with Luke, other than Pedro Pascal, did not know which Jedi that was, and did not know it was Luke Skywalker. I'm guessing this is something that will come out within the next week to 2 weeks, because they'll be talking about the show and how they did things. So I'm expecting this to get confirmed, but what we've heard is that, that was so secretive. Literally, the only one of the actors that knew what was happening there was Pedro Pascal himself. And
you didn't even need him to know it was Luke Skywalker, but the fact that they told Pedro Pascal, pretty much Pedro Pascal, Mando season 3 confirmed.
I mean, I don't care about all of that sort of stuff. He gave an interview 2 days ago, which I covered, where he said that he hopes he'll be in both Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. He'd like to be in either of them if Mando can show up in them. So that's not somebody who's walking away. No chance.
No.
So that's my thing with it. It's just that, at the moment, I really enjoyed seeing Luke again, but I would have rather went all in and they recast him, because I thought the de-aging was not as good looking as Marvel's is. I did think it was a little bit off, I have to be honest. And just felt like almost too... What I heard somebody say, right, so I'm going to use some quite grim terminology here, listeners, but then you're used to me swearing like a trooper normally on these podcasts anyway. It's not really a podcast for your kids to listen to. We do fucking this and that, but basically someone said it's a gigantic fan wank, the Luke Skywalker scene. However, the fans all came at once and loved it. That's how somebody put it, and I think that's kind of how it felt. It felt like to me it was just this big collective fan wank, but all the fans seem to absolutely love it and went for it completely. So maybe I'm in the minority, with this one. As I say, I've got no issues with Luke being back. I enjoyed the sequence, but it just kind of felt out of the way Mandalorian should be. I think we said last week, if Luke Skywalker turns up, we won't be happy, and and maybe you were thinking more if he just turns up, takes away and goes again, but for me it was just, I think it was too soon to go straight to Luke.
So my turn?
Yes.
My turn?
Your turn.
Yeah.
I'm done.
So I can say that if they had gone your way and saved it for season 3 of Mando, or the big team up at the excuse me, and
the big
that because they are, I agree, they used a de-aged one that, at least as of now there are no immediate plans to use a lot of Luke Skywalker in the future.
Not enough that he would have to be cast.
I like that because the sequel trilogy being there so close, and you keep saying yes, you can fix a lot, but you can't fix it all, especially the stuff between 8 and 9.
But it's canon. It's always going to be canon. We're never going to get rid of it. All you can do is make the best of it now and make good content leading up to it. Even if you then turn around and say, all right, but then that execution was shit.
I as much as I love this, and I'm telling you, I saw the X-Wing and I was like, who the hell Jedi would be flying in an X-Wing? I was like, Ezra? Are we, because you and I thought Ezra might possibly be the Jedi that would answer at one point? We never did, because had a rumor. We were just bullshitting. We
would have had to have an Ezra cast, and it would have got out.
Yeah,
and
we were, like I said, we were bullshitting. So I was like, is that the big surprise? Like, I couldn't think, because I didn't see Luke coming from a mile away. I didn't. I didn't. I should just
let the listeners know that I was taught, like, because Kyle and I live in different parts of the world. So I watched Mando at like my time, 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. Kyle's obviously fast asleep at that point, and he watches it when he gets up. And I was just kind of waiting for him to get to that. He says, I'm watching it right now, Cam, and I'm like, Like, where has he got to that bit yet? And then he sends me a couple of texts like, just what? And I was like, oh, he's got to that bit. Nice. We can talk in a minute.
I agree with you on where it could have potentially been used to greater effect. However, I sent a tweet out immediately after this, after watching this. I said, hey, at Mike Stackpole, this week's The Mandalorian has some very, very EU moments. Some feel like an experience I haven't felt since, and then I trail off, and then I mention a planet. And the planet is from a book called I, Jedi, which everyone knows Mike Stackpole wrote. I'm a huge fan of the book, huge fan of Mike Stackpole's. And in it, the main hero, Karan Horn, is about to face down 5 trained Force users called Jin Sarai. They're not Jedi, they're not Sith, they're Jin Sarai, like Witches of Dathomir. They're a different group, which is something that I want to see in the EU, or not in the EU, in
essentially Force users that follow a different creed from
exactly
the
different
tour.
paths. And Ahsoka could
possible.
be the start of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible.
So,
I mean, I would be interested in exploring different sides of things. I don't think there should be a black and white, you know?
Right. So I sent out that's my immediate, like, hey, what happens? Because when Luke shows up on Success V, I'm probably screwing up how Mike wants it pronounced, but whatever. When he shows up there to save Karan, it's after Karan had left the academy. Said, look, I'm a pilot and a cop. I'm gonna go do that, and whatever Force stuff I've learned, I'll use what I can. And Luke shows up and is part of a rescue for Karan's wife. And there's a castle that they storm, held by the bad guy that's got Karan's wife, and Luke is just he's Master Skywalker in this book scene, and it describes the fight in alleyway and how you can grabbing Luke using multiple Force abilities, pushing, pulling, squeezing, lightsabering, blocking, throwing, like all of that. Just this whole scene reminded me of it, and like you see the dark robes, and I was like, it's him. Like, it's him as soon as I saw the dark robes. But man, when you see that black hand and that green blade, it you gotta admit, whether you wanted it used there or not, it was an awesome moment. Was it not? A feeling to see it, because like you said, we were cheated in the sequels.
Yes, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That, you know, we got to see a cool moment like that. It was kind of, again, I likened it to Rogue One, that we finally got to see Vader do something, you know, pretty kick-ass, and I think it was the same with Luke. You know what I mean? I would absolutely expect Luke to walk through those dark sabers, because they don't have any resistance to lightsabers. So basically,
Dark troopers.
What are they going to do? You know, ultimately.
Yeah. This was an EU moment, because it was it reminded me of what Luke
was like in that
is
period.
doing in this period. He's searching for, in the old EU, he was searching for Jedi. So like I said, maybe that stone amplifies the Force user itself. And if Luke is looking for students right now, like he was during the Jedi Academy trilogy
which
and the I Jedi book,
be based in, like, that's the natural path for things to go after the old trilogy,
right? And he if he heard the call, it makes sense for him to come. It's just you I agree. I wish maybe he had been too late, you know, and senses that, and maybe we see just an X-wing shoot off in the distance or something, like, then, not use
then
him.
That leaves Grogu with, you know, Din, and clearly that's not where the story is going. You know, clearly, I don't think we're going to see any more of Grogu for a long time.
No,
maybe not at all.
We might not. But I'll agree that the CGI,
that's a strange marketing decision. You have to agree.
It is, and
the character is, but sometimes you just need to do that, or else you just run them out of speed. You would have then had to have them grow up. You'd have had to go through all those stages, you know, which we thought we would get. Actually, we thought, you know, Grogu would stay with Mando,
would have like a
we would see him growing up a little bit, yeah. But I don't think, you know, unless we're going to see a lot more of Luke Skywalker, which we've just used logic to work out probably isn't the case. Then at this time, then I don't think we see more of Grogu either.
No, I agree, and it is interesting choice. I was down with it all. I thought for a moment while in the hallway of the to the bridge, when he's facing those dark troopers, I thought for a moment Grogu would sense Skywalker, like just feel Vader maybe, and because we know he was at the temple, we know he was scared, we know he saw trauma.
Anakin from Luke, you know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
Especially the way things were left with both, you know, Luke and Vader, and how Vader's kind of a happy memory almost for Luke at this moment in time, rather than a kind of negative one, so he wouldn't be kind of expressing those negative emotions towards his own father. But
Grogu sensing a Skywalker, sensing a familiar presence, it could, in someone not trained, like for a moment I thought that might, they didn't go down that route obviously, but for a moment I was like, maybe that's could be how they keep Grogu in the Mandalorian, and this Luke thing. I wouldn't have been as happy with it. I'm happy that he did go with Luke, because they did use Luke. It would have sucked to use Luke and have him be late unless they had recast him, which is why I liked all of it. It was a very EU moment, like I said, getting to the goodbye, because this is important. Me and you have talked juxtaposition time and time again. Seeing things slipped or flipped on their head, and I might get a little teary-eyed myself, and just because I'm a dad. Grogu, yep, and I'm sorry, because I've said bye before war and stuff like that. So just hold on one second. Hold on. Here we go. Grogu looks up to Din, basically saying the line from Return of the Jedi, but opposite. Just for once, let me look on my dad with my own eyes. And no hesitation, Pedro takes off that helmet for his son.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And as we had spoke about before, that's part of, you know, the character development that Din has gone through this season, you know, and is going through over the course of wherever this story, you know, this Mando verse is actually going itself. But I wouldn't be surprised at the end of it all to see a certain Mr. Din Djarin with the Darksaber, and
Yeah.
ruling Mandalore or uniting them or something, if that's the way it goes.
Could be.
The reluctant ruler, almost, as you said earlier
like I
on,
said,
the reluctant king. It's the standard trope. The person that wants it, if they want it too much, are then liable. So that's why I say I think the Bo-Katan thing could come back and turn against her. I could see her, going from what seems to be a heroic character, but going down a darker path going forward.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be a while yet, though. Before we
power
get there.
at any cost.
I think that would be a build that we would see in that respect. Do you know what I mean? But they're still going to have to resolve what they do about this bloody Darksaber and who actually gets it.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it was a really emotional scene. But as I say, I think the fact that it was all telegraphed to me, once Luke had appeared, I knew exactly what was going to happen for the rest of this episode, and everything
you knew he
exactly
wasn't
like
going to say no.
Yeah. So maybe kind of lessened impact, but again, kudos to Pascal for his acting. So as we finish Mandalorian season 2, and it looks almost like we've finished. Do you know how some shows do that, where they'll have like a 2-season story arc? I wonder if that's a kind of system that they're going for with the Mandalorian, whereas we'll see the start of a new story and we might see it end in season 4 or something like that, further down the line. Yeah. That's kind of what it feels like at the moment, and you never know that until you're in it, and now the fact that Grogu's sort of out of the Mandalorian, it's exciting to think where things are going to go next, because we just genuinely are, other than guessing, something to do with the Darksaber, Mandalore and all that, But we'll get into all that. We will get into all that more next week. Now, what I had heard before I watched it was that you should stick around for an after credit sequence, and that's not surprising considering we had one actually in season 1 as well, didn't we? With the Gideon coming out with the Darksaber at the end. So
house that George built learned a thing or two in a meeting from Kevin Feige, apparently. Leave us different. Wanting more with something after the credits.
Yeah, they do work a little bit differently. And this one was very different from last season because it was Jabba's palace. So, I fast forward, I gets to that bit and Jabba's palace shows up, and I don't know, but I was thinking to myself, I have no fucking idea where they are going here. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. I
thought, please don't show. My only thought was, please don't show Maul. Please don't show Maul. Like, literally, the only thing in my
Maul's
dead
mind. By then, Maul's dead. I mean, like, dead. Canon dead. Do you know what I mean? Obi-Wan killed him.
He is dead. He has that last battle with, what's his name?
Obi-Wan. Yeah.
That was a worry for nothing.
Maul cannot show up anymore.
That's all I was thinking.
Or else he would be complete robot and there would be nothing of him left at all. It would be a blicking running joke. No Maul.
It's obvious. I'm sorry. As we're talking, I looked at something, and it's obviously Rogue Leader, former Red 5 X-wing. Anyways, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, I recognise when I looked at the X-wing, it just looked like his X-wing. I was like, that's fucking Luke. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just, completely. I wasn't worried about it, and I was just bamboozled about what was actually going to happen. What would be the point of Jabba's palace in this? And then we see an old canon character, Bib Fortuna, who was obviously the Twi'lek that attended on Jabba in Return of the Jedi. And since Jabba's death, he seems to have kind of taken over things a little bit. I don't think he's doing nearly as well as Jabba, but he's kind of he's got a girl. He's getting pretty fat as he sits there. Do you know what I mean? Kind of ordering people around about. And I'm thinking, okay, well, where are we going with this? Why is Bib Fortuna coming back? And then we see Fennec and Boba Fett kind of blast their way in. And Bib Fortuna's like, hey Bobs, what's happening? I've not seen you in ages. I thought you were totally dead, man. And then Bobs is like that. Nah, man, I was needed. And then just basically shoots him. And then, once he's kicked Bib Fortuna's kind of dead body after... I'm getting very Scottish here, so I went there deliberately for a second, but then I was like, dead body. A dead body for our US and other English-speaking non-Scottish people out there. Dead body. He pushes the dead body off the chair and he sits down almost like a throne kind of thing. And then Fennec kind of sits next to him, and we just get that nice shot, which I managed to get nicely today for putting on the site for one of the articles I was writing. So yeah. And they announced that the book of Boba Fett would be coming on December 2021. So this obviously confirms, and I wrote the story confirming that before, in a non-spoiler way, before I kind of get into anything to do with the actual episode itself, because pretty big news, especially concerning us, because we were the first ones that said there was a Boba Fett series coming, and we were surprised. I think it's fair to say that show was not announced during the Disney Investors Day, because as far as we know, it's filming already. So that's how confident we were. And one of the trades had obviously, a Deadline, I think it was, had said that it was going to be a mini-series, which we didn't know that. We just knew there was a Boba Fett show coming. And, so it was nice to get that sort of confirmed as well. But any thoughts on that before I get into then the our reveal today, because we went back to our source to kind of just get clarification and a bit of information, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to ask Kyle beforehand.
I was just reading that while you were talking. Look,
what did you think about the cut scene at the end of the bit at the end?
I think it's cool. I started at the wrong place, sorry.
Boba Fett.
Because I wonder, I went to the wrong page, and I was looking at notes for like after this discussion. Sorry, this was really cool. Fun setup. Like you said, I never had anything to worry about. It showed where Fennec is going to be. I'm happy to see more of Ming-Na. She's freaking badass as Fennec. Definitely a redemption over the short use, little use in season 1. And I don't know who has better genes, her or Paul Rudd, because they are both aging like beautiful fine wine.
What about Keanu Reeves? If he shaved his beard off, I mean, if Keanu Reeves shaved his beard off and dyed his hair,
he looked pretty.
He looked 25.
But, I don't know about 25, maybe 35. But yeah, I thought it was cool, and I like I said immediately in our little chat, I was like I think before we get into some confirmation stuff here, I said Boba Fett mini series, 4 to 6 episodes leads into Mando season 3 is immediately what I said, because that's what mostly you and I figured the Boba would be. We thought it would be mini series
a couple of weeks ago. So once the initial
we said
mini series came out, like that story, it made sense to us. We thought this will come out first, then we'll get Mando season 3. And we said that we thought the miniseries for Boba Fett would take us from the escape of Sarlacc to Mando, but they're setting up something completely different, and I'm down with it. I'm excited. Yeah.
So more time with the Bobes.
Just to kind of a bit of background then. So what? And I kind of get this, but it doesn't really make that much sense, because they announced December 21. All the fans, or a lot of fans out there, start getting into panic mode, right? And they were saying, does that mean the Book of Boba Fett is actually Mandalorian season 3? Is this the end of the Mandalorian, and Din's only going to show up as a secondary character in some of these other shows? And and maybe this actually backs up some of those crazy even though they've been denied by everybody. Rumours that, you know, Pascal had walked out in the show. Yeah, he'd walked out in the show, and that's why he said he'd love to be in both Rangers and Ahsoka. Yeah, because he's walked away. But anyway, and a lot of fans were really kind of concerned about this. So I actually wrote like my Friday column, Friday Free Talk, about it today, and saying, like, you know, here's my opinion, and it's exactly what you said, Kyle. I said I just don't think there's anything to worry about. I think they weren't releasing their whole hand. My understanding would be that they would film Boba Fett first, then they would film The Mandalorian Season 3. We'll get one show, then we'll get the other. The Mandalorian isn't cancelled, the new Boba Fett show isn't the new Mandalorian, and it is just a mini-series. And I said in my article, look, we'll reach out to our source and we'll try and get sort of some confirmation on this. But before I had actually published the article, our source had come back to us and actually given us some more information. So I thought, well, I can't really just post this, you know, and then post another one saying, yeah, here's some confirmation. So I just kind of put it right up the front and said, look, you can read my kind of reasoning behind it if you want, but here's the kind of exclusive where you can go and find it after the spoiler tags. So we spoke to our source, and they said, essentially, don't worry, there is a Mandalorian Season 3. Boba Fett is a mini-series. What our source said is they don't have an exact episode count for us at the moment, but it's not a full 8 episode like Mandalorian is. Definitely not.
Right.
That could mean 4, it could mean 5, it could mean 6. We really don't know. You think 6. You said about 5 or 6, you thought, didn't you?
I think 4 to 6.
4 to 6. I think it might even be shorter than that, with longer episodes. I don't know, because I think it was just that I heard somebody's idea. What if they showed you 3 parts of Boba's life up to that point? So they go back to the past, they go back to what happened. Do you know what I mean? And they, you know, it was almost like that.
And
because the way it's worded, the Book of Boba Fett, like, so showing you
like
different stages of his life, you know?
Right, to set up what comes
whatever
next
comes next with the
him.
character, but not going into what does come next, or maybe part of that, like the third party, it would be where things are going next, and why does he want to go back to Jabba's palace? You know, what's going on there? I think there's a lot more there that we don't fully understand. We're not just saying he's going back going, hey, I'm the crime boss now because I'm sitting in this place. You know, we'll see. That might be the way things go. Anyway, Serso said definitely that's what's happening. The plan is Boba Fett show films first, and then they're going to move straight into The Mandalorian Season 3. Our source also said that Kathleen Kennedy never said that The Mandalorian Season 3 would be coming out in December 2021. She said the next chapter of this story would be coming out in December 2021. And that is because the Book of Boba Fett is the next chapter of this story. However, the next one after that will be The Mandalorian Season 3, because they're basically just going to run one straight into the other, as far as we know. We don't have any confirmation yet about who's writing Boba Fett, but my guess, and this is purely a guess, would be Filoni and Favreau, probably, but we'll wait and see on that one.
I would think that would be a safe
and our source also said that basically we need to stop thinking linear when we think about this, that it's more of a puzzle. Like there's a central story going on that we don't fully understand yet, but we're not necessarily going to get all the pieces in a linear format. Now, they didn't give us any more information than that, but that says to me that we could jump back and forth to end up to whatever this climactic event is. Is that how you would take that comment that our source gave us?
Yes. Yeah. Very, very much so, and not only jumping back and forth in time, but jumping back and forth within this time in places. So I think that's a great way to look at. You and I have been you and I have been the ones always looking at this show in puzzle pieces as we get news, rumors, theories, as you and I apply logic as episodes come out. This we got right, this was wrong, and like you said, me and you are
in some ways in it,
turning the puzzle pieces around when they don't fit, and nope, that's the wrong blue. It doesn't go there. I love it.
The reason read our site and read other sites that are like yours is because this is what we do. We like to speculate. We like to think about what's going to come next, and we're not always going to get it right. But it does help when you've got a genuine source that's feeding you some information as well. What I like about our source is that they're not like, hey, yeah, what do you want to know? I'll tell you everything. They're very selective with what they tell us. You know, they will withhold information from us, you know, so we'll sometimes ask a question and we don't get an answer. You know, it's no, I'm not telling you that. Or occasionally we get told a few things, not major things, but things that, you know, we're not allowed to kind of then publish it, just to kind of help steer us along as well. But, you know, that's what I like about our source, because I don't really want somebody to go and give me the scripts for all these things before they happen and know everything up front.
No.
I want to play the speculation game and put the jigsaw pieces together. And it's within the show putting the jigsaw pieces together, but it's also putting the rumours and the stuff together to try and work out what we think's going on. It's part of the fun of it all to me, to be perfectly honest with you.
Exactly.
So this
100%,
this just intrigues me further for how it's all going to get set up. Yeah, that's our information anyway. Basically, guys, don't worry, there will be a Mandalorian season 3. It's coming after the Book of Boba Fett, but hey, we're getting a new show called the Book of Boba Fett first, so let's get excited.
I think it's going to be real fast too. Like I think Book of Boba Fett, and it might even be less than 30 days. Maybe a max of 60. I'm gonna guess this now. 30 to 60 days between Book of Boba, because it's short.
So do you think maybe January for the Mandalorian season 3 then?
Yeah.
See, I think so as well. I think our source is kind of hinting us to us there without saying anything that Mando season 3 is going to slip into 22. And I'm okay with that at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Especially considering the year we've had with COVID and everything like that, and the delays we've had. And Mando season 2 was basically filmed before COVID even hit, so they didn't really have to worry about that too much. But the restrictions are all still in place now and are going to be for a while. So I think it makes sense to run from one into the other. Yeah, but you know, in terms of how they're filming it.
There's 3 brand new stagecrafts going up, bigger, better ones. Oh my god!
Well, they've got more shows to do now. You know, they're going to have to. They're not going to be able to be around everything. You know, for the Filoni and Favreau's are going to have to, off. I mean, they're not really involved with Cassie and Obi-Wan, because they're very separate. Sorry, I say that because that's what, the wrong titles. Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because they've been properly titled now, so let's talk, give them the proper titles. They're standalone, but the rest of the stuff, I could see, Favreau and Filoni are going to have to oversee it all, so this is probably going to take up all their time, because they're just going to be jumping from one into another. Now, we don't have an idea of schedules. Like Marvel gave us what years at least we should expect to see shows. We didn't get that for Star Wars. They haven't been really solid with timelines, so we don't know when to expect anything at the moment Star Wars wise, other than the Bad Batch, which is next year, and the book
2023 Rogue Squad.
Well, I meant just Disney Plus. I was thinking more
TV wise,
other than obviously the Book of Boba Fett now, which has been dated as December 21. So we don't even have an official date for Mando season 3, which is what worried people. But again, don't worry about that. So we don't know when Rangers is coming. We don't know when Ahsoka's coming.
Leave that hill of no more Pedro Pascal alone. that hill is been taken. It is not Hamburger Hill. You do not need to keep going back up there. And also, don't play with words and try to step away from staked claims. Admit when you're wrong. When you're wrong, you're wrong. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And life is better that way, Cam.
You don't think you're ever wrong? That's the problem.
Well, I got a pretty good track record, so just saying. Anyways,
Right.
I wanted to ask about that R2D2 theory from our own Slack chat. What do you think about that?
Right, so you better let me explain it. So Mike reckons that R2D2 was possibly with Anakin when he assaulted the Jedi Temple, and that R2 possibly saved some Jedi. He seems to think that Grogu is hesitant to go with Luke until he sees R2, and then there's like a recognition kind of thing going on there, and he thinks that's kind of hinting towards that. I'm not going to say he's wrong on that, but I will say I didn't see that from it myself, but I do want to kind of watch that sequence back a couple of times and kind of see if I can maybe see it from Mike's point of view, because sometimes when you watch something the first time you don't quite catch everything, and you need to go back and look at it with a different pair of eyes. So that's my thoughts. I'm not convinced at the moment, but I reserve the right to change my mind and be convinced, because what about you?
Yeah, look, things. I'm gonna post a picture later on of a toy that I think my mom or dad got me one Christmas many years ago. It's a Star Wars toy. I gave it to my son because it was of a character that I didn't really care about. And my son wanted to play with it, and he kept it for a while, and then going through toys looking for donations, my son was like, "Hey, I can donate this. I'm not playing with it anymore." And I was like, "No, that's okay. I'll take it back." And so yeah, that says I think the fact that I have Boba Fett sitting on, if it wasn't clear to everyone that's been listening, Boba Fett is now on my desk for the first time in years, and the only reason I had him before was someone else bought him for me, and
but now you feel more.
I am excited to see. I'm getting to where I'm trusting this team. And
yeah, I think,
I'm always with Marvel.
To make that clear. Yeah, I don't. I trust Kevin Feige, and he controls all of Marvel. I don't have that level of trust for Kathleen Kennedy because she's made too many mistakes. But I do have trust
for
the
Filoni
team at the
moment.
Team. I don't agree with absolutely everything they do, but then you never would.
Yeah,
you never would.
And you and I have mentioned several times when we were changed by something, when we had a theory that was like the thing on screen worked out better. I was so scared of this season, guys. Go back to our season 2 preview. I was scared literally that all season long we were going to get like 2
you thought it was going to be Iron Man 2.
Here comes a spinoff. 2 episodes, here comes a spinoff. And that I would have to wait season 3 for real Mandalorian. And they handled it. They handled it. I'm good. What comes next, guys? I'll quote Newfound Glory. I don't want to know.
But we will get into where we think things are going next week in our kind of wrap up of everything.
Yes.
And then we will be going forward on a week to week basis, just with whatever is happening Star Wars news wise, or just whatever we kind of we're talking about between ourselves, Star Wars each week. And obviously if we hear any stuff from our source, we'll always, because we're rather than a podcast or Twitter based site, we are based on our stories mostly, so we'll always release stuff first on the website itself. But anything that we do get, you can be sure Kyle and I would be talking about it if we're going to do this on a weekly basis. Kyle, just finally, grade. We need to agree a grade for chapter 16.
So I after looking at your points of view, I think they're completely valid, and if things had gone that way, I would have been completely fine too. But I am still fully satisfied. This was a solid A show.
Okay, well, if I wasn't,
it had
let's say I'm not a Star Wars fan. Let's say I'm not a Star Wars fan.
It assuages all the fans of
I've come to this
Luke stuff.
I've come to this, and I've just started being a fan of Star Wars through the Mandalorian, right? Was that a satisfying ending to me of this season then, if I don't really have any familiarity with
just
Skywalker?
No, you have to have seen at least the OT.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill literally just tweeted a while ago. No, not literally just, but a while ago. Seen anything good on TV lately? Love it.
So for that reason,
you're right.
It's
you
B+
have to have at least the OT.
It's B+ for me. The action was great. I loved the scenes, but as it all fit together, I thought there was a bit. It was a bit jarring moving from one thing onto the other. I just have to be honest. You know what I mean?
They could have done it smoother, which is why it's not an A.
Can we compromise on an A- then? Is that a fair compromise?
For you, if I really wanted to complain about the things that
considering some of the little things you complain about some weeks, come on.
Yeah, sure. The effects on Luke really are kind of take you out of it. And always with the mouth with these de-aging things.
It's hardest to get right, isn't it?
Ever since like Tron Legacy and Jeff Bridges, I've just been like the mouth just doesn't look right.
Better. It is getting better. If you look at Tron
you look
Legacy,
at that
compared
to
not Luke, but
movies,
maybe
not TVs. But
I don't know, Kurt Russell and Guardians of the Galaxy. That was one of the best ones. You know,
that was better. That was definitely better, but still mouth odd, but better than Jeff Bridges Tron Legacy. The Bo-Katan stuff, some of the military, sure, and I knew R2. I know R2 would be with Luke. It's his X-wing, but I don't know if I like that theory that R2 is the youngling smuggler, because unless that is going to play out with a recast Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy show, because R2 would be, hey, Luke, now that the Emperor is gone, I have a list for you.
I've been stashing these guys away, but they could have been anywhere in the last 30 years. So. If
that does pay off, then cool for R2 showing up. If not, I really didn't need that. So yeah, sure, fuck it, A-, whatever.
Cool. All right, plug all the stuff before we jump out and let.
All right, guys, you know what to do. LRMonline.com every single day for all of your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. The YouTube channel. All of our stuff is starting to go up there. In addition to the great celebrity interviews, we did our first live event in quite a while, very successful, and looking to do more. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and wherever you get podcasts from, subscribe to the LRM Online Podcast Network. Hit that notification bell, that listener, that follow us on Spotify, so you can be announced. We got a lot of great shows going on. Cantina is going to be keep going with season 2 recap, and season 3 / Boba Talk next week. Keeping it weekly as long as we've got things to talk about. Like you said, we are doing for the next few weeks a No Mercy podcast, which is all about Cobra Kai. Of course, LR mornings every Monday through Friday. Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast on Fridays. It's just so much great stuff, guys. Please subscribe, listen all the way through. And yeah, find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. Boom.
You can find me at LRM_Cam on Twitter as well, and reach out to us if you've got any questions, any suggestions, and you want to see us covering for future weeks in the Cantina as well, because obviously it will get a bit less prescriptive going forward. So, you know, any ideas that you want us to kind of cover, let us know, and we'll be happy to explore them. Thanks very much for listening. What? Sorry, you have some
one last. I know we closed it out. I got the tier mark, the Alderaan tier mark.
Right.
On
back to the start.
Cara Dune finally being explained. I like that.
Okay, I got you.
You didn't like that?
No, I thought it was cool. Yeah, but
touch.
okay, no.
All right, bye guys. Guys, may the force be with you.